wonderful evening here in the show Alex and Ragnar Thursday evening, and we welcome the world. And hi Ragnar, how are you?
Hi Alex, I'm excellent. I'm really fine. Very enthusiastic about all the things which are going on. So I'm watching TV the whole day, the news here in the US, and it's good. It's not going to be a topic here, but it's good to have a news show together with you again with wonderful guests.
Yeah, wonderful guest, and we have a perfect guest for this topic because living next to Pennsylvania, we have Matt Wade this evening and Sven Seidenberg, and let's see, we can maybe have a question also on this, what he thinks, how is this going on in the US. But first of all, we want to talk about the last week. What have we seen last week? What we talk about? I have to think about. It was...
There was something, Alex.
We
had okay. Let me. Later. I'm very, very young, so I can tell you we had a Yammer and Team session with Martina. Exactly.
Martina Grom, of course.
Exactly, and I was presenting the Yammer roadmap.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. So. Write in the comments, please, where are you watching from? We want to see if the world is looking here in our show, because we have this English show tonight. And as you might know, English is not my favorite language. But let's see how this works today.
Alex, what's your favorite foreign language, actually? We can switch to the language.
It might be German, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So first of all, we want to give you an overview. We have a great price this time. As before, oh, I forgot the jingle. Wait a second. Oh my God, this English stuff is bringing me completely out of the control. So, here we go. We have an EPOS ADAPT 560, and you can win it. I already put the link in the comments. I hope you see them there. And Ragnar, you can tell us something about the EPOS.
Absolutely. If you've never heard of EPOS, this company was formerly known as Sennheiser. So here you can see a little bit more. Let me just switch on my screen. Alex?
Yes, of course. Wait a second.
Yep.
I just tipped in the... Okay, here we go.
So, okay.
No, this is a black screen.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is the EPOS ADAPT 560. So thanks to the sponsors. This is great because 47 hours of battery life. There's a nice boom arm, and the boom arm is very important for the extent audio and microphone quality. And you can really get focus time because this has got ANC on board. So if you're somebody in the background is noisy, your colleagues or your children or I don't know your mother-in-law, then you won't hear anything and you can focus. So it's Bluetooth, ANC, and it has got a Teams button. So at the bottom there is a Teams button, and then you can accept calls and decline calls. So it's going to be a very important device here for your working from home situation or wherever you are. Thanks to EPOS for sponsoring.
Thanks for EPOS, right? And so this was the intro, what we talked about and what you can win. I will change at the top the QR code on the top right. There you see also the link and the QR code and can use it. Grab the phone from your partner and take a picture of it and take part in this survey, and you can win this evening. At the end of the show, we will see who wins this great headphone. So I think we come to the first guest, what we have in the show, and so let's start here. So hello guys, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's really a pleasure. It's you're our second guest here from the US. Great to have you here. And also Sven from northern part of Germany. So would you like, or let me just start a little bit of the introduction where I know you. And before I'm going to start here with Matt, I have to put out a picture which I've made the last time when we've seen each other. So due to COVID-19, it's a little bit hard to meet, but we had an insane thing where we met each other, and I'm going to share the picture right with you, and then everybody has to think where this happened. So let me just share my screen, and then I'm introducing Matt. So this is the insane moment where Matt and myself met the last time.
That's roughly how that's how I remember it too. It was blurry. It was colorful. It was everything.
So this was the first time in my life when I was driving a roller coaster, drinking a beer, and this was in Orlando, Florida, and we were in the children theme park, because this was the part which we could at Microsoft Ignite. This was the part which we could manage after a few beers and a few burgers and pizza, because the other roller coasters were too heavy and too challenging. So we went into the children theme park. We
smuggled the cheap American beer onto the child. It wasn't even a roller coaster. It was like a slow but high train, and you weren't allowed to bring any drinks with you. So we slipped them into our pockets, and we totally got away with it, and felt like total badasses.
Exactly. Yeah. And I really miss this kind of events like Ignite. It was so much fun. But it's good to have you here. And Matt, you are an MVP, Office Apps and Services.
Correct.
Very specialized on the whole suite. You are also a well-known person around everything for the periodic system. So in the past, actually, when I was in school, I hated chemistry. But since I've seen your periodic system, this is something what maybe everybody knows you. So I'm going to give a very sneak preview into your tables, and for our. Let me just share my screen for a second, and then we jump directly to Sven. But then people know what your history is also. So you are the inventor here of the periodic table of Office 65, which is available in many different languages. For example, also in German. And that's something what you have created, and everybody can use the periodic table, which I personally find very valuable, to have all the Microsoft Office 65 tools clustered in different pillars here. So personally, I've used it many times, and it's available in different languages. So that's how many people know you. And is there something you would like to add, Matt, about your? No,
I guess I'll say I'm calling in from upstate New York, where I live and grew up, about 2.5 hours north by train or by car from New York City. Kind of close to Pennsylvania. I guess a lot closer than you guys are, but not as close as you may think. The U.S. is a little bit bigger than you might think it is, I guess. And I don't know, I guess I'm an engineer originally, kind of fell into the SharePoint and Office 365 world sort of by mistake, and ended up really liking that. And the periodic table, I also hated chemistry. I loved physics. That's why I became a civil engineer originally. But it just turned out that when I laid things out, it just looked like the periodic table. And that's just an easy concept that everybody has to learn about at some point in their life, whether they have bad memories or good ones, but they can at least relate to it. So I got that. Blog, YouTube, kind of all over the board these days.
Yeah, great. And from the northern part of Germany, or northern west, we have Sven. I think, Sven, you're living somewhere in the Osnabrück area, I think, and you are working for a Microsoft partner called Bright Skies.
Yeah.
Wonderful partner, and you are having a consultant role, and I think everything is around Office 65 now, Modern Workplace. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working for Bright, as you mentioned. Living in Osnabrück, my main focus is Microsoft Teams. I'm dipping into the Power Platform a little bit in the latest days, and the whole part of change and adoption in Microsoft 365 projects. That's what I focus on. Also on the community part.
Yeah.
So and the question is why we have you both together here, because you have a part what you're doing together, correct?
Correct. Yep. So In the past, I've worked on a couple of special projects with Microsoft partner AvePoint out of Washington, D.C., and originally put out an ebook probably more than a year ago or more at this point on just basic Teams etiquette. And I use the word etiquette instead of like tips and tricks or best practices, because I think those terms are a little bit beaten to death at this point. And etiquette really is just how should you use the app in the best way possible to ensure efficiency, but also respect for your fellow employee or peer. And after putting that out, a lot of happy, I guess I'll say, customers. It's free. Anybody can get it. You can add it, as a tab in your Teams channel right now if you want to. There were a lot of questions about meetings. So I decided to dive into meetings, and Sven and I have been interacting on a bunch of community stuff in the past too. So I reached out to him to see if he'd be willing to help me out with that, both in review and offering some feedback and whatnot. So this is a sort of a joint project that we did with AvePoint. They put it out and posted it for us, put together the beautiful graphics and whatnot, but the content is us. And it's now something that we present on a lot of different conferences.
Great.
Okay, super.
So before we start, Ragnar, just wait a second. Just before we start, for the attendees watching here, just give us some questions in the comments. If you want to know something about Matt or Sven, just put it in the comments, and we will show it in the show, and they will ask your questions. So just to give this information to all who are watching. Ragnar.
Yeah. So in this ebook, you've shared many different kind of recommendations here. How would you continue? Would you start with the top 5, and you're counting down from 5 to 1? So it's up to you. How you would like
Sure.
to share it, or from A to Z?
So I'm going to actually pass off to Sven, and I'm going to let you start with what you think are a couple of your favorite sort of takeaways or I'll say nuggets. That's always the phrase, at least in the US, when you go to a conference. What are those nuggets you walk away with? And doing this project, it was fun because you really start to actually really get into the details of how the app works and doesn't work sometimes. And those are the kind of good things. So Sven, I'm going to let you start. And if you want, I can bounce into slides, or it's up to you.
I think I can do it this way.
Okay.
I think my favorite part is the whole chapter of the non-Teams related stuff. So the non-technical stuff, those behaviors or things you want to do to create a productive and successful meeting, stuff you do in advance and during the meeting or even after the meeting. I think this is something many people maybe not have in mind yet, because they're not working that much remote, or at least did before COVID-19. So I think there's a lot of information for people out there. And we've been on another podcast together at the beginning of the year, and I also told it the favorite thing about Microsoft Teams meetings for me is that it works so simple, and it works. So you click a link, you're joining the meeting, you see everybody, you hear everybody normally, and you can just start being productive and start your meeting. And one specific thing Matt mentioned in the ebook is using the chat during the meeting, not only for the unusual stuff, but also for adding information, adding resources. So if someone in a meeting is talking about a thing someone maybe doesn't know, you can drop in additional information, a Word document you have in your repository, or a link to a website where it's explained something a little bit more deeper. Those are the things I really like about the whole ebook.
Should we talk also about the meeting notes here? Because that's something, to be very honest with you, what I'm using far too less. So really, nobody's listening here. I think I've used the meeting notes maybe like 5 times in my whole life, because I always forget to use the meeting notes. There is a little button to populate them automatically, but I never use them, and that's a pity, because it's so powerful. And I also have a lot of series, meetings which are happening like every week and so on, and I'm not using it, and it doesn't make sense that I'm using my OneNote, my personal OneNote, where nobody can look into it. but I could really use this one more, for the scheduled meetings much more often. But I have to create for myself a new habit, a micro habit, to remind myself to use it really in every meeting.
Yeah, the meeting notes is an interesting one because meeting notes are actually just a rebranded version of the Teams wiki, which is probably one of the most hotly contested topics in the whole ecosystem of Microsoft Teams. Some people hate the wiki, and the first thing they do is they delete it.
Dear audience, everybody who's listening now, please tell us, who is the one who loves wikis? I want to know who from our audience loves wikis, because usually everybody hates wikis.
And
please share it in the comments.
I'm a fan of the concept of a wiki. It's just the execution of the wiki in Teams is not necessarily very good unless you know what you're walking into. It's really one of those, be prepared and don't do something willy-nilly. Be strategic and choose to use that, because there are some downsides. One of those downsides, it is not indexed for search. So if you go to search for something later, it will not pop up. So you need to be aware of that. But it is nice that it's right there in the meeting, and you can just click meeting notes, opens up. It's reasonably easy to edit, and other people can edit it as well at the same time. I don't know what the options are for external sharing, or if the external folks can edit it as well, but that would just be one of those things you can test. But it's one of those, if you like the wiki, that's great, but you may not realize that the Teams meeting notes are actually a wiki. And if you do like OneNote and you have a shared OneNote with your team, and whatever your channel is where you meet regularly internally, or maybe you just make a OneNote file that you share from your OneDrive with everybody, and that's where you have your series and you keep notes there. If you love OneNote, use OneNote. There's no reason not to, right? But yeah, the meeting notes can be really useful, but again, it's just one of those, know what you're getting yourself into, because it's kind of hard to back out of it if you've already gotten into it.
Yeah, I think you're not alone with your problem, Ragnar. I just checked back in the eBook, and we also write there, use OneNote for creating meeting notes.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed it.
And that's because OneNote is that app that, and I'm looking at the paper version in front of me just to refresh my memory here. But yeah, exactly. I'm in the process of writing a Teams user guide, a book that's going to be published in the next few months. And I've gotten so deep in the weeds of all of these little micro features. The whole chapter I have, or section that I have on taking notes during a meeting, it starts out with those meeting notes because it's the first thing that you see. So if you're new to Teams, you may just click that and say, let's use it, right? But there's nothing stopping you from keeping a OneNote file, or using a Word document if you want to. Maybe you have a template for meeting minutes that's more formal and more specific to your organization, and that's perfectly fine.
Okay, we have very different answers here, but I think the main answers are that they don't use the wiki and they change it to OneNote as they can start off. But also some information, just Andreas wrote down here, okay, it's very useful for regularities in Teams, like how do we collaborate and etc. So maybe it's that could be a point where we can pin posts. This will be a function coming up. Maybe also there's a place where we can write down how we will collaborate in this channel in the pin post. We will see. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
But this
I was just talking about these little micro habits which we have to use, and always forget. What are the best Teams meeting recommendation which you always recommend but you always forget by yourself?
Ooh. I don't know. I'm a real stickler for always mute when you're not talking, but I definitely follow that one.
Yeah.
I have to think.
Yeah.
Sven, now is a time to commit. Do you have something to confess here? Something where you always preach and always forget?
I don't want to say I'm on the same side as Matt, but that's a problem for me too. But one thing, not a team thing, but to really point out who is taking notes in the meeting. Sometimes this is something I totally forget about. Then everyone writes something down for himself, and after that we combine all the notes and end up with a pretty much
That's a good one. One that I am probably guilty of not doing correctly, and I really think that the feature is good, is the raising your hand, so that you're making it clear that you want to say something. Incidentally, if you didn't know, when you raise your hand and you look at the participant pane, the people pane, they're actually in the order from top to bottom of who raised their hand first, which I didn't realize until most recently, maybe a couple weeks ago. But if everybody doesn't agree on that, we'll call it a social norm, I guess, then nobody should be raising their hand if the facilitator is not going to call on them. And if I'm the facilitator and I forget to check the hands, what's the point? Because people are just going to jump in and butt the line effectively. So being in charge of that and keeping it actually running is, I think, important, because if those people have something to say, they should be saying it, and they shouldn't have to wait in line or be disrespected by somebody jumping ahead in line from them.
Yeah. Now for me, it's time to confess. So I'll also have a confession. I'm personally a big believer that the best results in a meeting, the best meeting outcomes would be if everybody is fully aware of the agenda. So I always used to preach. Let me look. I always used to preach that you really have to have a meeting agenda before you invite. And in 95% of the cases, I just forget to send out a meeting agenda. Yeah. And then we have to define the agenda while having a meeting. But for the preparation, it's always so much better when really the whole agenda points and the outcome is defined in advance.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Alex, if you can share my screen for one moment. I kind of want to echo what Ragnar just said, but also what Sven had said before. A lot of times it's not about what you're using. I don't care in this case if you use Teams or if you use WebEx or if you use something else. It comes down to, do you know how to run a meeting? And there's a lot to it, right? So there's the agenda, there's define the success of it, right? Because if 4 people walk into a meeting all defining success for themselves as different things, that's a wasted meeting completely. If you are inviting the wrong people, if you're over inviting, that's a waste of time for the people that don't need to be there. Or if you don't bring the key decision makers in, those people, you basically are going to cancel the meeting probably at the last second. And then the other thing is sharing the information and the resources to those people ahead of time. And I'm really big on pushing, if it's an internal meeting, post the agenda, the KPI dashboard report, the whatever presentation somebody has to give, put that right into a folder for the date of the meeting. Or if it's an external meeting, put it right in your OneDrive and share the link to the OneDrive so people can see it ahead of time. They know what to expect. And that really settles or levels that whole expectations thing too, because if people see content in that presentation that they didn't expect, that changes what they now expect as being the outcome of that meeting. And then a couple other kind of basic ones is to have roles. A timekeeper, keep people on topic, have a parking lot, a place to put topics where people don't, have time to talk about, and then have those notes. And the biggest thing is going to be taking action items, who's supposed to do it, and when it's due is critical, right? Because if you don't actually do anything with the meeting, what was the point of the meeting, right?
Yeah. Matt, let's stop here for 1 second. I would like to talk about the timekeeper. Who of you, and I'm also talking here to the audience, please write in the comments, who has experience with the back-to-back meetings? Because I find this personally extremely annoying to have a day of 4 hours without any single bio break, no input, output. I don't want to go further, but you know what I mean? For 4 hours, where I have like usually 8 meetings in 4 hours. This is for me very, very challenging. So I would like to use more in the future the Outlook feature, and it can be configured in Outlook on the web in the calendar section to have that the meetings should only be 25 minutes and not 30 minutes. Yeah. So to just prevent that everything is always overlapping, and because this is for me creating a lot of stress, and I want to prevent it. So I want 25 minutes meetings, and then I have a break where I can get a fresh coffee. That's what I want. So that's for me one of the biggest pain points in my daily life, back to back.
Yeah, definitely.
I hate it.
I'm pretty sure you know this, but there's maybe the audience doesn't know. There's a setting in Outlook and Outlook Online where you can automatically schedule your meetings to 25 or 50 minutes. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
that is correct.
It is correct. Yeah,
very handy.
Okay, I want to come back to some questions from the comments, and I have to scroll up a little bit because we have many people. And the first one was Andreas asking Matt, how do you stay up to date with the whole Microsoft 365 Ecosypps? Now, we're leaving a little bit the meetings tab, but we come back to meetings once more. But maybe you can ask this question. You can answer this question.
Definitely. So I will say my favorite source right now is the and this is more of an emergency situation, is using the Microsoft or MSFT 365 status account on Twitter, because that you don't need to have access to the admin center to get anything from that. They will report when services are down, which is useful because any user could actually follow that. That is one of the only Twitter push notifications that I get. The other one is the other one is Twitter safety, because I love finding out when they happen to muzzle Donald Trump, and that's essentially where I'm at for that. The other, and I'm going to put this in. I think I can put this in the
every vote counts.
Comments. Yes, right. Actually, I'm not sure how to send a chat into the comments. So Alex.
Yeah, the private chat, and I will shift it over.
Every follower counts, so thanks everybody for joining today. Every follower, every audience, every people here count.
Definitely.
You're very
and there's a link that Alex is going to share that I have a blog post that basically covers 9 really good sources that I use for keeping up to date. One is going to be the roadmap, right? But the roadmap is a lot of marketing fluff, so you don't really necessarily want to depend on that. They don't like to give dates all the time. Another one's going to be, some community sources where people provide a little bit of insight on what things are that are going to change. So if anything, I would take a look at that blog post. And the answer, you're probably going to say, why do I need 9 things to follow to do this? And my answer is, it's just the way it is. And if you want to, look at it positively, call it job security.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Thank you. And one more from Tomislav. What do you think of the possibilities that the new Microsoft Stream will offer us? Storing videos in OneNote and SharePoint for meeting recordings helps with many use cases like sharing.
Sven, what do you think of the new the Stream changes? I'm kind of curious because I'm not working with customers directly right now, but I know you are.
Yeah, I think the current situation is, it sometimes is a pain for sharing external, and then you have to download it and upload it to your OneDrive and share it external. I think that created a lot of pain, especially for end users who have maybe even problems to with the meeting itself, and to think about how can I share it afterwards? Download, upload, back and forth. So I think this will help a lot with make it more accessible to end users. Yeah.
I agree with that. Alex, if you can share my screen for a second, I'm just going to show folks what to expect on this one. So major announcement at Ignite was that Microsoft Stream, almost the entire foundation of it for its storage solution at least, is being completely redone. For whatever reason, the Stream team decided to build their storage on I think it's Azure Blob Storage. I could be wrong. That's a bit outside of my technical expertise, but they have moved now to SharePoint and OneDrive. When you create a meeting moving forward, you record a meeting. If the meeting is a channel meeting, so inside a team, that meeting will automatically be stored as an MP4 file in a folder called recordings in the team. So accessible to everybody. That is the only situation that any meeting recording will ever end up in SharePoint. For every other meeting, it will end up in OneDrive, and it's going to end up in the OneDrive of the person who presses record. That's really important because now it matters who presses record because they own the file after that. It makes things a lot easier to share, like Sven was saying. So you can open it up in OneDrive, get a link, share it with the people from externally, which before you'd have to download the file from the Stream web portal, upload it into OneDrive, get the link and share it. Now it's already in OneDrive. You've kind of skipped a couple steps. But the downside that I've come to realize is you lose the whole web video experience. So these files are just files. They're just like a Word document or a PDF. They're just sitting in your OneDrive. So if you liked the web experience in Stream and you liked the captions or the transcript automatically being attached to that video, you now have to go in and download the video file, upload it to Stream, download the transcript, and upload that to Stream to attach it to the video file. So for anybody that was depending on this sort of latter discussion, which is I liked the Stream experience, they are now getting stuck with the extra steps that the people that felt that external sharing is more important were kind of stuck with in the past. So it's just kind of something to keep in mind. The experience of playing a file or a video file in OneDrive and SharePoint is currently subpar, I guess is putting it nicely. It is going to be replaced eventually by Stream. Stream is actually going to start being the default player for video files within SharePoint and OneDrive, but that's not here yet. It's not going to be here for a number of months. The other thing is, to get this new experience, you have to not only, you have to enable it in the admin center. And right now it's an opt-in situation. Within the next month or two, it's going to become an opt-out situation. And then a month or two after that, I think, could be wrong, it's going to be, there's no opt-out option available, and everybody will be now on this new Stream experience for all meeting recordings.
Yeah. So this would be absolutely great. You know, I'm working for an ISV company who are producing migration tools, and for us, the migration between tenants is now so much easier, because now we can just migrate the meeting content based on Stream, running on OneDrive. Now it's super easy. In the past, it was just a nightmare. Mm-hmm. So it kind of comes
down to what your priorities are. You know, some people love this, some people hate it, actually.
Yep. No, that's a very good one. Okay, please. What else would you like to share?
Well, I'll jump into a couple that I think were the big ones for me when I was putting this together. And actually, we still have to update a little bit because I've had some discoveries since then. The first is, right now, I'm not the biggest fan of the PowerPoint sharing tool that's built into a meeting. So I actually like to tell people to use PowerPoint in a different way. You can actually use a PowerPoint slideshow and present it as its own window. And if you can, once you start presenting, you can share that as a window in Teams. And then there's this little trick that I don't even think that they designed it this way. It's a happy little accident. If you right-click on the slides, there's an option to show presenter view. So you can get presenter view, but the recipients or the attendees actually see the slides while you see presenter view while you're sharing the window, which is just really, really slick little trick that it just took a lot of kind of playing around to realize that was a thing. I also like to be able to manage my video, my face, with my content. Teams is not very good at that. And I know that they've announced that they're going to have the ability to put like your cutout of your face in front of a background, like your slides. And that's great, but that's not coming for probably a number of months still. So the ability to take, for example, your a webcam, basically video cam, and show that next to something else. So in this screenshot, you see me having, I use a Mac and I have QuickTime open. Well, QuickTime can show a live feed of my video feed, my webcam, and next to it, I have Whiteboard, where it could be PowerPoint in one of those window situations. Could be a OneNote, that I'm taking notes on so everybody can see what I'm working on. Or, hey, we're working on a document right now. We need to update the corporate policies. Here's the file that we're working on. So they can see my face, my presentation, all that kind of stuff without seeing just a little piece of me in the bottom of the Teams rail when I'm sharing content. So this is essentially one whole screen, has my video, has my content. And if you're using Windows, you can use the built-in camera, although it does have a lot of buttons in Chrome. So you could also use VLC Media Player, or there's a couple other camera apps out there that you can use to stream. If you try to do it and it tells you that there's no webcam available, just turn your video off in Teams. In Windows, whatever reason, Teams hogs the video feed.
Let me ask now our audience here, who is using the default original Microsoft Whiteboard application to run Teams, and who is using other applications like Conseport, like Mural, who's also using very advanced things like the Whiteboard content capturing feature of Teams meetings, where you can really use your camera. There are only a few cameras which support it, but you could use your cameras and make a capture of your physical whiteboard, and then just virtualize it and give it back to the meeting. So that's something which is very fancy and I really like. But I haven't used it because I'm using different cameras. So please share with me in the comments which kind of whiteboarding tool you are using, and if you find this useful. Personally, that's also going back to the micro habit topics. I like whiteboarding. I see the value, but I do it maybe like once a month. So it's not one of my daily habits to use whiteboards. Yeah,
it's really big for teachers. Teachers use it constantly. And I've been working with a lot more teachers lately since a lot of them have gotten sucked into Teams by no choice of their own over the last couple months because they were all using Zoom 5 months ago.
Well, we use the whiteboard very often, maybe because we have also 2 Surface Hubs in our company, and this is so great tool also on the Surface laptops, and because you can store them in the cloud and you get back always, or you write down on the Surface Hub and you save them and you get back on your laptop to the direct whiteboard. What I do not use so often is whiteboard in Teams meetings, of course, because this is not so easy to handle, except you're working on the Surface Hub, then it's very easy. So, well, I love the whiteboard, I have to say. Well, I'm the timekeeper for today because I don't know where the time went, but when I have to look at the clock, it's almost over. So what about some last statements for today, Sven, about meetings? Any good tips following? To get a Rockstar?
Read the ebook? No, just kidding. I think take some time to create your own schedule for meetings, to decide what you want to do before a meeting, what you want to do during a meeting and after a meeting, because not everything we talked about or every point we point out in the ebook fits for everyone. So you should get rid of those not fitting your situation and building your own perfect Rockstar meeting, and then try to adapt it in your daily work. I think that's getting started working on the meeting habits.
Great. Okay. Matt. Also,
one
last thing.
Go ahead. Oh, I thought you had one more
last thing.
Sure. So if you share my screen once more, this is one of my more favorite features, and I don't know if it's actually active right now or if it's coming in a little bit, but the ability to jump from your desktop, and if you have to get on the road, you need to get in your car or something and stay on the phone. All you have to do is click join on the phone, and it gives you the option to either add the device or transfer to the device. It's amazing. It works so flawlessly, and both options are really useful. If you have the situation where you're just working on one screen and you're presenting and you want to be able to keep track of the chat or the meeting itself, you can use your phone or even like an iPad, and you can join the meeting as a new device, but you still use. So you're in the meeting twice. Very useful. Or if you're just on the go, throw your headphones in, join from your phone, and you'll move from your desktop to your phone, and no problem whatsoever. And it just goes, it works, and I love it. I think it's very, very handy.
Well, you can use it also the way back. You can have the call on your mobile phone, and you get to your desktop version, and you can switch to the desktop.
True. Yeah, that's definitely true.
Cool.
Yeah. If you guys have any interest, the sort of resources that I usually show for sessions like this, especially like the ebook itself. So this ebook here, the third option there, that's going to get you this free thing. There's no email requirement to it's not like one of those marketing landing pages where you have to supply your email address to get access to this thing. There's a web page version. There's a PDF version you can download if that's easier to share internally. Then there's the etiquette guide after that, and a few other things if you have any interest.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Perfect.
Very nice. There are a few comments here from Sascha Friedrich around whiteboarding and Surface Hubs. And here I would like to spend 1 single second and show you about a new feature which I have discovered 2 days ago. So Microsoft Teams Room will get the whiteboard app soon. So I think Excellent. December is going to be the date for whiteboard app for Microsoft Teams Rooms. So that's something what I would like to also play more around here.
Even better is you have the meeting room switched together with a Surface Hub in the same room, as we know from Christian, who worked on this collaborative together. No, what was it called? I forgot it. Where we can have the call on the meeting room system and the whiteboard using the same session. Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you very much that you came to our show, and there was pretty much content in here, and it was really great to have you here, Ragnar.
Thanks so much. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it was great being here, guys. I guess as my ancestors would say, or my I guess ancestors. Danke. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
So
Thanks
we
for having
come
us.
to the next part. Sven, have a nice evening, and maybe you see the rest of the show here with us. And so till the next time, goodbye.
Super.
Goodbye.
Bye, Matt. Bye, Sven.
So, and we come to the community updates. And let's see, we have some Europe dates here for October, November, December. Of course, from Michael Gret. Here, the events. Have an eye on the Azure Meetup in Cologne and the Office 365 Meetup in Cologne.
Thanks to all the organizers here, like Raphael Kölner and so on. You're doing a great job. It's a lot of work, I know it. Yeah, RMS meeting, Sascha Friedrich, many others. Yeah.
We have picked out some specials. I know this is the third time we're talking about it's the ACM Teams Europe, but maybe we have some different language people here in because this is also an English event that we have on not next Tuesday. It's Tuesday in 1 week, and we're talking about ACM, Adoption and Change Management. Then we have the Collab 365 Global Con 4, and we have the last 2 dates in November 10 and in December beginning. It's a big event also, and we have the Quest event. Ragnar, just tell
my
us a
session
little bit about it.
is about SharePoint modernization, so I will go very, very deep into the PnP community things like the SharePoint modernization scripts, which are free from Microsoft. So, and I'm going to show a lookbook things. So, a lot of demos in my session, and everything is free. What I'm going to present.
Great, and the last one, one of the last one is the AMS Germany from Michael. This is also a great event. Thank you very much that you are doing this. They will be on the 1st of December, and it's also free to attend. And the last one we have is the Collab Days right now.
Thanks also to the organizers like Tommy Gölles from Solovion and Corinna from MSG. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. These are the events. So we come to the contest. You can win a headset, and we will see who won the headset today. Okay, here you can see it once more, the EPOS ADAPT 560. And we have a great contestant. So let's see who won this great headset. It's about Steffen Herzog.
Steffen, congrats.
Congrats. Yeah. Quite. Great.
This is your prize, but you will get a fresh and new one. So that's my version here. Don't worry.
That's good. Okay, so then we have a look what is coming up in the next week, what we are talking about. This will be Raphael Kölner will meet. It's also an MVP, and we are starting with our series about Teams governance, because the following dates we also have some people in our show. They are showing tools around governance, but we start with Raphael. I hope this will be a German show once more. Much better for me then. So we have Raphael there, and we'll talk about all the things around governance. Okay, so let's see in the comments once more. Is there something we have to talk? Okay. Oh, you did it. Great.
Yeah.
Ragnar? So I have a look at the watch. Okay, it's 9:45, so we are in time.
We need to move to Heute Journal, lots of news, and let's see how the situation in Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, what did you miss? Yeah. Alaska is going on.
So let's, I see our guests are still in the stream here, so we get them back, and we say thank you very much once more. And hope to see you once again here in our show, or maybe on the stages out there when we can meet once more in real life. Okay.
Thanks so
Have
much.
a good time, and
Thanks
all
for
the best
watching.
to the US. Goodbye.
Every
Goodbye.
guest counts.